AITA for reminding my friend that just because she's poor doesn't mean I am? Am I the asshole? Either arugula 4934 or esh. This is not hard. I hate doing laundry and I am lucky I have the money to hire somebody else. I got it. You think it's a waste of money. I don't care what you think about my laundry. Stop giving me shit about it. You can shut her down hard without calling her poor. Spallanzani 333. 14,676. I was going to go with ESH, but after reading your incredibly entitled and self-absorbed comments, want you to know that you are leaning towards YTA, and boy are you in for a shock in life. You've been fortunate enough to have generous parents who are willing to support you financially, but this is not the case for all people, even those from upper middle class families. My parents were wealthy and they held every dollar over my head. Not everyone has parents who are willing to help even if they can. You need to be more self-aware and empathetic towards other people. Be sensitive and kind, because life always comes full circle. Kanumoy, 4957. Greater than she's furious that I called her poor. But she is. It's just a fact. YTA. Just because she can't afford the program doesn't make her poor, it just makes her less well off than you. Your use of poor is derogatory and dismissive in this context and you know it. Review Oak 929. 3547. YTA. Yes. Your friend's comments are annoying. But your attitude is entitled and snotty. Frankly. Calling her poor and pointing out you're rich is pretty much the epitome of being an entitled Muley, 1898. Is this real? Esh. But you're definitely the bigger AH. For many people, college is the first time they're exposed to truly different lifestyles, economic class structure, and upbringings. You could both learn from each other. Neither of you chose the backgrounds you come from. Responsible Spite 1332. 7424. AITA for telling my Phil that I don't want the house he bought us? Am I the asshole? CA 77 YWUMPUS. NTA. You figured it out. This is how he will control the both of you until he dies. First is fixing the house. Then it will be living in it. You will need permission to have more than 2 guests over. Or if you get a pet. Or how you do the gardening. Worse. He bought this house for you, but you can't have it until he dies, which he can hang over your heads as leverage for the control. If you don't do X, I will take you out of the will, and so on. I wouldn't even rent from him if he is next door. Your privacy and your life will become his. Alien_overlord _ 1001. 7956. NTA. The only reason that the house would only be in your Phil and husband's name is to protect the house from you if there is a divorce. That is a smart move on their part if you are not contributing to the financing of the house. It would be a smart move on your part to not invest any money into the house outside of paying bills. Your issue is with your husband. If he is going along with this, then you two need to have a serious talk. Is this what you both want? Would you rather just wait and buy a house together in both of your names? What is the underlying issue behind this behavior? Quote, don't ask me shit. 1765. NTA. And if your name isn't on the deed, then tell your husband no marital assets are going toward that house. Walk away and let him figure out how to fix up the house and he can rent it out. Celtic Muse Books. 543. 3. If your husband is willing to let his father treat his wife this way, then your problem is clearly with your husband. Your name isn't even on the deed. But you're expected to do all the remodel work. You do the work. But your Phil doesn't like it, so he vetoes it. But you're not even worth the breath it would take him to talk to you, so he goes through your husband as a messenger. In the end, Your husband delivers his dad's message to you rather than telling his dad that he's being a jerk to you and that he won't tolerate you being treated this way. C. You have a husband problem. NTA. Physical_ad 6875. 889. They want you to work to improve and live in a house that you have zero legal ownership in. You would not get half the value of the house in the event of divorce. If your husband died in a car crash on his way home from work, you'd get nothing. You two can't even decide to sell it and use the money to purchase your next home. You have a husband and a fill problem. This not a good deal for you financially or even practically. Further, you should get to have input on where you live. Next door to your in-laws may not be how you pictured this part of your life, and I get that. You would have zero privacy. They would know when you were out late. They would know if you played hooky from work. They will be all up in your lives, driving you absolutely crazy. Then, when they eventually drive you out of the family, you won't get anything you put into that house to start your new life. Stacy B. 125. 188. AITA for labeling my son's school supplies and informing his next teacher they are not to be shared with his stepsister? Quote, am I the asshole? Low vegetable 3961. NTA. Why would you be obligated to buy supplies for another kid? It's telling how demands of sharing and accusations of selfishness only go one way here. Gundy Galois. 6793. NTA. Also, I used to be a teacher and my district used to do these back-to-school supply drives, where a local organization would donate backpacks full of school supplies and kids could go get one for free. There might be one of those for the school district your son's stepsister attends. It'll normally be advertised on the school district's Facebook page. Her parent could also contact her school or teacher directly, and I'm sure they'd help her with getting supplies. All this to say, it definitely should not be your or your son's responsibility. Also, I used to buy extra pencils, crayons, notebooks, etc. so those kids who weren't able to buy any still had some. I never expected one student to provide supplies for another. 1283 throwaway. 206. In order for his stepchild to not suffer, your actual child should? And if I want to ask someone to help me out, I would not call them a bitch. NTA. Sinace 98. 146. 6. NTA. And good for you for having a shiny backbone. Think of the kids. Doesn't T fly when she's trying to pin responsibility onto other people? She can find someone else to manipulate through pity. Straight Jacket Racket. 1590. NTA. Where is the stepchildren's father? IMHO. You are sharing from the budget you have for supplies by donating supplies additionally to the supplies you buy for your son. Ghost through days. 69. AITA for telling a parent that their kid is weird when she pushed as to why my kid didn't want to be her friend. Am I the asshole? Aware balance 8868. She asked to speak to your husband? As in, she thought that was the social equivalent of asking for the manager? Let me speak to the person in charge of you. Basically? Nope. Absolutely not. NTA. My guess would be that there's a reason why her daughter evidently doesn't have any friends, and at least some of it originates with the mother. Floating pencil. 9427. NTA. You tried to let her down lightly and she pushed it further. My suggestion would be to explain exactly what you did in this post about Melanie's specific behavior and not just call her weird. Having specifics might help her mom understand why she made Caddy uncomfortable. Or she'll make excuses for it, but at least you tried. I have a feeling others have been through this before, and that's probably why the post isn't doing as much damage as it would have otherwise. Nobody _ asked _ me 1990. 2805. NTA, you respected your daughter's wishes and defended her. A child should not be forced to play with someone she doesn't like. You tried being polite. The mom wouldn't let it go and tried going over your head by wanting to talk with your husband. And now she is bashing you on Facebook. I would block her. Life's too short to deal with that. Sinace 98, 1092. There's a reason she pounced on you as the new person. Trying to have the kids meet before school started. Honestly, I would have seen that as a red flag. But then her excitement over her kid getting a friend when they've been there. Her kid doesn't have friends for a reason. Interesting. Sky 6313, 1017. I am going to say NTA. Mostly because I am about 95% sure that this mom knew damn well why your daughter didn't want to play with hers. These aren't toddlers or kids meeting through a shared group. This child isn't the new kid in town. Setting up play dates for preteens is unusual in and of itself. Combining that with the daughter's issues, regardless of the cause, and the heavy-handed push to force more play dates tells me that this mom has run through all of her other options and thought she could force her daughter onto yours because you were too new to know better. This was likely a slow build to offloading her daughter off onto your daughter and then onto you. That's why her complaints have gotten no traction in the Facebook group. People will tell you, well, she's probably autistic. So you should probably do, when that doesn't matter. Because she's not your daughter or your student or your charge or your responsibility. It doesn't matter if she's neurodivergent or mentally ill or just a weird asshole kid that enjoys freaking people out. What matters is that she is exhibiting behaviors that are unacceptable. Shoving people underwater. That haven't been corrected, and she has a mother that likely has no interest in correcting behaviors like that. Could have been nicer about explaining your issues with this kid? Probably. But I am glad you didn't because the way she spoke wasn't really that of someone looking for a solution to a problem, but that of someone trying to remove obstacles that are getting in her way. Hence wanting to talk to your husband when it was clear you couldn't be forced to budge. If you had done the nice route, she would have told you that she would definitely talk to her daughter about not doing that. Who knows if she actually would. And then tried to imply that the problem was solved and you no longer have a reason to say no. For better or for worse. You nipped the problem in the bud before things got worse. Ryugan 80, 481, 81.